Okay, so here's the second video on using SkySieve, and this video is going to be about materials and sections. So sections is something that comes up. You'll notice in the members menu, there's this section ID, which by default is set to 1. Now, if for any reason you do try to do a 3D render of your structure, you'll see that it gives you this message saying missing sections if you haven't played with these sections before. And so the whole purpose of doing the 3D rendering is to see what your bridge will actually look like. And if you haven't assigned sections, it will just give you this default sort of rectangular section there, which isn't necessarily true to what your bridge will look like. So as you can see, you need to add materials first to assign to sections, and then you add sections to assign to members. So we're going to add a material here. There are some preloaded materials: steel, aluminium, carbon plate, concrete. All of these great engineering materials, and materials is everything when you are designing something. But the material that we're working with, of course, is called spaghetti. So I'm going to add a new material. It's automatically got 8 new selected for me there, spaghetti. Now, I got a couple of these values straight off the internet. So the Young's modulus, these are approximate values, and they're going to be fine for what we do. So 5,000 megapascals for the Young's modulus will be fine. The density, I actually measured one of the pieces of spaghetti that we had to work this out, and it came out at approximately 1,444 kilograms per meter cubed. And then Poisson's ratio is approximately 0.3 according to internet. We will leave these two blank, they are optional, so we just hit apply on that one. So we now have a new material in there, which is our spaghetti. So once we've assigned our material, now we can assign our section. The easiest way to do this by far is using the builder. This is all quite complex and detailed, so if we use the builder, what we'll find is that there's some preloaded section templates. So spaghetti is circular, so we are going to choose the circular option. We're going to add that, and it brings up a circular section or cross section for us. Our material for this particular section is spaghetti, which we've already done. And the dimensions, we can click it here, or we can type it directly in here. Okay, so you've got two options. Let's just type it in there. This is in millimeters, and I measured our spaghetti once again. It came out at 1.88 millimeters. Nice and thin there, of course. Once you have those two things selected, so you've chosen your material and you've got your dimensions, you won't need to touch the operations tab at all. And you shouldn't need to touch any of this other stuff. All you need to do is click submit, this button just down here. So you hit submit on that. Now that will have automatically for you filled in all the other values. So section ID 1, and we can change the name of that as well if we want to spaghetti section. Okay, so there we go, there's our section ID. Now, because when you put our members in, it's automatically assigned everything as a section ID of 1. When we now render this, that will be picked up by our existing members, and you can see what's happened is my structure has become incredibly thin because spaghetti is quite a thin material. And this is what will happen if you haven't chosen appropriate values for your bridge size. Because my bridge, the coordinates that I used were all sort of easy multiples of distance of 1 between each of these bottom joints here, and a distance of 1 in the z-axis between the two sides. That's 1 meter, and so spaghetti doesn't really look very thick compared to that. But if you have done something a bit more reasonable, then you will find that you'll get something like this example, which I'm going to show you in a moment. And it should look something a little bit more appropriate. So if I open up my previous one and I 3D render this, you can see there, this is also spaghetti, same size, but this has got a length of closer to the 35 centimeters. I think it's 40 centimeters, this one, that you're actually going for. And so you get something that looks a lot more reasonable. I can, just to prove to you, I've got spaghetti added to this one as well. You do need to add that each time you do a new file. And in my sections, you can see I've got spaghetti here. And if I go into the builder, it can actually see that I've already done all of that. So that's how you do sections and materials. And that's how that will impact your design. Of course, when you do the test, if you've assigned that correctly, it will be a little bit more accurate in terms of what you'll actually be seeing when you construct your bridge out of spaghetti. So it gives a better comparison for you. That's about it for this video. Hope that's helped out. See you later.